Welcome to 100 Yards of Football this morning. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Today, I got a special video. It's in my NFL Draft Prospect Special. Today, I'm going to highlight wide receiver Drake London out of the University of Southern California. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards of Football. Excuse me. Before I get started this morning, talk about this great prospect who's got the potential of going in the first round, and Mr. London, I'd like to give a very special blessings and prayers to a gentleman that's been part of 100 Yards of Football over the last 2 months. To Mr. Jameis Timmis, we know him as Jimmy Hill's 100 Yards of Football. My love and my heart goes out. His father passed yesterday in Cape Verde. And if everyone out there that's watched this video, please keep this young man in prayers. I love him to death. He's been a very integral part of 100 Yards of Football. Keep him in prayers. Thank you, Mr. Timmis. I know you as Jimmy. Man, I want to give you shout outs and kudos. Thank you for being a part of 100 Yards of Football this morning. Now, let's get to USC, baby. Drake London. A lot of people haven't heard of this young man because USC has not really been on the national scene in the last couple of seasons. But when you think about USC, you think about this young man, you think about Mr. London. He's 6'5", 210 pounds. Before you start talking about him, you got to think about what's came before him. Lynn Swan, Shelton Diggs, Keyshawn Johnson, Steve Smith, Dwayne Jarrett, Johnny Morton, Curtis Conway. It's been a lot of special people at this position at USC. But this young man has got all the skill set to make it in the National Football League. And what I like about his skill set, an excellent athlete, A+. His jumping ability, A+. His body control, A+. His agility, A+. Him as a run blocker, A+. His length, A+. His competitiveness, A+. Excellent in control catch situations. That means he'll go up and catch the ball in any way. Body turn left, body turn right. He made every catch at USC. Excellent footwork. Very smooth in a technician. Shifty, A+. And most of all, the main thing that you need to play wide receiver in the National Football League, he's a significant change mover. He moves the change. And then, you know, I'm real big about the production. In his career at USC, 160 receptions, 2,153 yards, 13 yards a catch, 15 touchdowns. And then he got hurt this year. But in 2021, he had 88 receptions for 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns. I love everything about the young man as a football player. I think he might be the best receiver coming in the draft as far as skills level and doing everything you want from that position. But when I look at Drake London, I think about him in a basketball sense. Because his first 2 years, he did play, after he finished his football during the season, he played basketball on the USC basketball team. But if you look at his catching the ball, I'm going to call him Clyde the Glide Drexler of college football. Remember, Clyde the Glide Drexler was a member of that 83 U versus Houston team that went by the name of Phi Slamma Jamma. And when I think about Drake London catching the football, I think about all the catches I've seen him made this season. And then I think about when Clyde in that NCAA semifinal against Louisville, when he had that dunk that changed the game around, he came down. Remember, Clyde went up looking like he was going to tomahawk it, put it between his legs and came down. That's how I look at Mr. Drake London on the football field. And think about this about Mr. London. You know that I always go by game film. When 2 games that USC lost, he was the best player on the field. Go back to the Notre Dame game when they lost 31-16. 15 receptions, 171 yards. And guess Utah in the season. They lost that game 42-26, but he had 16 receptions, 162 yards. What that tells me, he didn't give up. He kept playing at a high level. As I told you, his toughness stuck out more than anything for him to still put up numbers. No quit. Then when I think about all the great receivers that I've seen personally in my day, I put them all in the category of skill set. I think about his skill set similar to a guy that I went to school with at the University of Arkansas, got drafted by the San Diego Chargers, Bobby Duckworth. He was a big, tall, lean receiver. Then I think about Ernest Gray that played at the University of Memphis at the time, Memphis State, went on and had a decent career with the New York Giants. Then I think about Clyde Duncan at the University of Tennessee, who's a first-round draft choice with, at the time, the St. Louis Cardinals. Then I think about the greatest receiver. He didn't make it to the NFL. But when I graduated from Memphis, Tennessee in 1978, the 901, he was the best prep athlete in the city and in the state. He went by the name of Raymond Buggs, went up to Vanderbilt University and became all SEC 2 years in a row. Bear Bryant said he was the best receiver he ever seen play in the SEC. Y'all can check that. Then Carl Pickens that played at Tennessee. Long, wiry, had speed, able to do excellent route running. Drake London's got a little bit of Carl Pickens in him. Then he got a little bit of Andre Hastings. Since we broadcasting here locally from the Metro Atlanta area, I'm in Douglasville. We all know about Andre Hastings in his career when he was with the University of Georgia. Then he took it on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then one thing that Mr. London don't get credit for is his run blocking. And it's at a high level. And he blocks and he gets downfield like we all know that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. Super Bowl champion Hines Ward. Drake London has got a lot bit in his game. Then to me, he's not as fast. Probably, I want to say not as athletic, but similarly athletic. If he stays healthy, I'm going to call him the little Julio Jones. This young man is a productive football player, and he did it on a level that it has never been done in a long time at USC. Check his numbers. And one thing I loved about him, go back what I just mentioned about the Notre Dame game. USC lost that game 31-16, but he was still producing at a high level. 15 receptions, 171 yards. And then against Utah, SC was getting blown out. They lost that game 42-26, but Drake London was still going out there producing. 16 receptions, 162 yards that game. And his career, stats don't lie. USC has not been on the national map as far as the football program. That's why they fired Clay Helton and replaced him with Lincoln Riley. But in his 3 years, this young man put up 160 receptions, 2,153 yards, 13 yards to catch, 15 touchdowns. Yes, I'm repeating it because I'm showing you. If I'm a GM, I'm looking at a young man that still produced at a high level at 6'5", 210. Jumping ability one more time, 8'8 plus. This is a guy that goes up and gets the ball. The competitive spirit in him, I just told you, A plus. And one other thing I want to bring up, he's tough runner after the catch. This young man is a great football player, came out of a great school, played on the highest level out there at the Pac-12. I know down here we say the SEC is the greatest conference in all of college football right now. They got 2 teams in the national semifinals. But I'm going to tell you, Drake London would have been a real good, serious problem in the SEC if he would have played on any team. That's how good this young man is. And I see greatness with him. So my final words about Drake London, USC. It's by the great band out of my hometown, the 901 Earth, Wind, and Fire. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Love was changing. Mind of pretenders while chasing the clouds away. Drake London is going to go to the National Football League, and he's going to take the clouds up, and I expect him to be a Pro Bowl player. Dun, 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 dun. Drake London, wide receiver, USC. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. I'd like to give special thanks to my producer, Logan Landers, for making it happen this morning. To my man, one more time, because I love this young man. I think he's a complete football player. Drake London, wide receiver out of the University of Southern California. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards of Football.